Welcome. Hey, welcome back. Lesson 2, just for you. We're talking 1, 2. I gotta stop, honestly. Honestly, maybe I don't have to stop. Maybe I need to keep going. Maybe I need to be a rapper. Maybe I need to find a new... Let's stop. Okay, we're not gonna get out of control. Welcome back to Birth Chart Basics, Lesson 2. Today we're gonna do houses. We're talking about the houses. Houses. That sounds crazy. What is a house? Is probably your first question. Don't worry. By the end of this, you'll know. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna hook you up. Hey, let's give it a minute for the people. Welcome, Ari. About to start. Let's catch a vibe. We're talking houses. We're talking houses in the house because we're home in our house. Okay, no problem. Love you. We'll see you later. Just gonna wait a minute. I'm gonna pop up my graphics. Don't worry. You pop in, you pop out. I won't hold you. Do what you do. We're gonna turn off the filter because it covers everything good. Please come back at 7. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back on. Depends how I feel. I'm really hungry, so I kind of want to do this and eat, but we'll see. If I don't see you later, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Next time, don't schedule clients during my class. I'm just kidding. Do what you gotta do. Make that bread. Let's go. Always down for the grind. Always down for the hustle. So, go off. Gonna wait another minute. I know I put 6:06 as the time, but sometimes I'm early. Okay, I'm early sometimes. Sometimes I'm late. I don't know. Depends on the day. Today I'm early because I had time. I finished early. I'm on a roll today. Hope you are too. Today's a good day to have a good day. Okay. Feeling good, feeling cleansed, feeling relaxed. Hope you feel relaxed too. If you were here yesterday, welcome back. If this is your first class, welcome. I would suggest watching lesson 1 first, but no worries if you want to just jump right in. Houses is a very in-depth part of astrology. It's also probably the most important part of astrology that's often overlooked or not fully understood. But that's how horoscopes are formed, by the houses. Hey, hand tap, Matt. They're formed that way. Actually, I'm going to turn the comments off just because I'm going to get started. So the houses is the most important part of your chart because that's where all the zodiac signs will live. Okay, they all live in houses. Makes sense, right? So wherever the houses are, or wherever signs are over whichever houses, that's where you'll have the effect of that sign. So say your sun sign is Aries, and you have sun in your first house, which is the Aries house. You are Aries as fuck. You're the most Aries version of yourself. But we'll get there. But that's the basis. But let's get started on the thing. We're gonna start. I kind of broke it down a little bit already, but boom, here we go. So astrologers named the 12 houses as categories of life. So it's really centered around different areas of your life. The houses will represent that area. Okay, so each house represents a specific area: family, marriage, yourself, your money, your friends. Everything in your life is represented in the houses, or by the houses, I should say. This is, like I said, the main component of how horoscopes are created. They're generalized most cases because if you have the same rising sign, you're going to have the same placement rulers as somebody else. So, but you might have different planets in those houses. So that's where you differentiate. That's where you get personal, is where the planets land in your chart. but the houses hold the energy of whatever area of your life will be affected by that planet and by that sign. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The houses are also known as existential arenas, but that's just like a fancy word for what I just said. That's that. I'm telling you right now, this is going to seem like it's a lot, but it's not. You're going to see the connections between the signs, the planets, all in this, and it's going to help next. But I feel like the houses is, like I said, one of the most important parts of astrology and learning astrology and reading. It's the most important part of birth charts, because that's where everything lives. So just bear with me, okay? It's gonna be a lot. Okay, we're jumping right in, starting with the first house. Okay, first house is the house of self. Okay, it's a house of self-reflection, not self-reflection really, but like yourself, your personality. This is who you are at your core. Like, this is you. And this is often where, if you see the top red line there, the top red line is right along the ascendant. So normally the houses won't fall like directly into like that's, or the signs won't fall directly into each house. They might be overlapping a little bit. So you might have like 2 signs in one house, and then hold on, that was a lot. Let me back up. Okay, so this is the house of yourself, the first house, which is the house right at this line. It interacts with your ascendant, so your rising sign is affiliated with yourself. It's like the most potent part of yourself. I have some other slides at the end that kind of explain the interactions between the houses, but they all look like that. They're all like that. They're all like that, okay? The first house ruler is Mars, Aries, like we talked about yesterday. See that connection already? And the opposite would be the 7th house. So the 7th house is directly across, which is ruled by Libra. We'll get there. So it's a house of yourself. This is the area where, like I said, if you have sun in your first house, so if you have your sun in your first house, doesn't matter what sign it is, your sun sign is going to be very specific to you. You're going to resonate with your sun sign a lot more if you have sun in your first house, because your sun is your personality, you're this. Also, if you have Mars in your first house, that's going to have a lot to do with how you react and how you act in situations and how you present yourself and things like that. So that when we learn about planets tomorrow, it'll make a lot more sense about what the houses hold and the energies and the planets and how they all interact with each other. But that this house, any planets and signs that align with your first house have to do with your personality, your identity, your self-identity, your appearance. Even sometimes if you have like Taurus something or Venus in your first house, you're probably really fucking pretty. What else? If you have Mercury in your first house, you like to talk. Like things like that. They all have to do with that energy. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Please let me know in the questions if that doesn't make sense to you and you're like, Lila, what the fuck are you talking about? Let me know. But we're gonna move on to the second house. And you'll notice that the order of the houses is the same as the order of the zodiac. So it's super easy to figure out like all of this, okay? That's why we did signs first, so you guys knew what the fuck is good. Okay, moving on. Second house, right under the first house. House of money, possessions, finances, your values, what you value in your life, like possessionally, your skills that make you money, and your income are all ruled by your second house. The sign associated, obviously, Taurus, Venus, and opposite would be 8th house, which is Scorpio. This is all about what you have. If you have, like me, I have Saturn in my second house, which means I have a lot of restrictions over my finances, my money. It's all about learning lessons in that case. But whatever planet you have in your second house will be very prevalent to your money situation, how you make money, how you look at money, how you view money, and could be how you make money too. So if you have, say, Mars in your second house, you probably make a lot of money, or Jupiter in your second house, you make a lot of money, or you will make a lot of money. Jupiter in the second house is actually a wealth placement, but again, we'll talk about that on Friday when we really get into like the nitty gritty of everything. But Second house represents your money, your bags, okay, your incomes. And also, I wanted to mention in the beginning, I will be putting the zodiac symbols and the planet symbols on almost every slide, so you guys learn those too, because that's really what's going to pop up in a chart, is the symbols of each zodiac sign and the symbols for each planet. You're not going to see it say Mercury and Taurus. You're going to see it have the Taurus symbol and the Mercury sign, or the Venus sign, I'm sorry. So that's why I'm putting those in there, not just to take up space, even though it does look pretty. Okay, moving on. Third house. You already know how this is going. Like, you already know. Like, now we're at Gemini, right? Third sign in the zodiac is Gemini. Third house is ruled by Gemini energy, is ruled by Mercury. Opposite's ninth house. Opposite would be Sag. This is all about thought, communication, intellect. This could be the way you learned as a child. If you had difficulty learning, this is something that you can find out in a birth chart reading, is seeing some difficult placements here, like Saturn in the third house could indicate you have problems communicating, or trouble with critical thinking and things. So it also rules your ideas, the way you rationalize things, the way you think about things, the way you talk about things, the way you write things down. It also rules siblings and your relationship with your siblings, how you speak to your siblings, how you think about your siblings, things like that. This has to do with your immediate surroundings, but really how it has to do with your mind, okay? Your mind is kind of your immediate surrounding, right? That's how you get all your information. It's really the house of the mind, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say on that. And you can see Gemini sign, Mercury sign. The Mercury had a little like devil horn on it. I couldn't find one without that little thing. It does have little loops on it. It doesn't really have to look like that, but I digress. Moving on. Any questions? I have a lot of third house planets. I have a lot of third house planets. That's why I be talking. That's why I be yapping. I be fourth house. House of home. That's literally the most redundant thing that it could be, but it's literally the house of home. Where you feel most at home. It could be your home in the past. It could be your home presently. It could be your home in the future. It's your roots. It's your family. It's your parents. It's also like what makes you feel safe and secure in yourself. So it's your inner world. It's how you nurture yourself, how you feel nurtured, where you feel at home, where you feel the most comfortable, right? This is obviously Cancer, Moon. And 10th house would be the opposite, which would be Capricorn, opposite sign of Cancer. So I think you see how this is going. I think you see how the flow worked, how everything kind of like matches up. Now, this sounds like everybody should have these placements. No, we all have these same houses. The houses stay the same, but what changes is what signs rule the houses. Again, this is something we'll get to at the end, but stay with me here. Okay, let's get into the fifth. Now, if you know that, you know this. Leo is next. So we have the house of creativity, the fun house, the pleasure house. It's the litty titty house. It's literally the fun house. I tried to not write the house of fun, but I did throw it in there because that's what I like to call it. Ruled by Leo, Sun, 11th house opposite, which would be Aquarius energy. I enjoy, and it's how you have fun, how you prioritize your fun. Dating, it's like going out, partying. It can indicate you're going on a date. Like, you can really tell all these things from your chart. What makes you feel creative, what fuels you creatively, how you view things creatively, joy, fun, just things that make you feel happy and bring you pleasure in your life. Like I said, all 12 areas have something different in your life, rule something different in your life, and fun and enjoyment and pleasure is definitely part of it. So I hope you all have a lot of fifth house placements, or have fifth house transits happening for you right now or soon, because that's the best time. And that's the best, no, not the second house, but that's my opinion. Okay, sixth house, moving on. Sixth house, Virgo house, house of work. Okay, sixth house is the house of work, your day-to-day, what you do every day, which is probably work. Okay, how you take care of yourself, your health, but also how you take care of others and how you interact with others too on your day-to-day. Now, as we move into the next 6 houses, they get a little bit more complicated. They get a little bit more in depth, and have a lot more meat and potatoes to them, if you will. So this is kind of like the last like basic one before it gets a little crazy, but this one also has a lot of layers to it too. So it's your day-to-day routine, your diet, your exercise routine, your work routine, also your relationship with your coworkers, how you get along with your coworkers, also rules pets. So if you have like a Jupiter in your 6th house or something, you could have a lot of pets. You could have like a lot of cats, a lot of dogs, something like that. Or now also Jupiter in the 6th house would make me feel like you have trouble like having a routine. You just constantly growing and doing more and more and adding more on your plate. But okay, we'll get there. So it's Virgo, Mercury rules the 6th house, and its 12th house is the opposite, which is Pisces. So this is about your rational, your physical day-to-day, what you're doing every day and how that's interacting with other people. Okay. Now we move into more partnership situations in these next houses that have to do with other people in your life. Now 1 through 6 kind of had to do with like you. 1 through 5, I should say, had to kind of just do with you, right? And what fulfills you in your life. The next have to add some other people in here. Okay. It's like 12 through 5 is you, and 6 through 11 is you with other people. Okay. Okay, we were at 7th house. 7th house. Okay, I know some of you might have been waiting for 7th house. Now, 7th house is the house of marriage, partnerships, relationships, romantic relationships. Could be business relationships too. Don't get crazy. It has to do with any type of commitment. Okay, committed energy and a balance between you and someone else. Declaration for this would be I partner, and it's about your awareness of other people in your life, but your commitment to others and how that balance is in your life. Okay. This is ruled by Libra, Venus energy. Opposite would be the 1st house, which is the house of self, right? By myself. This is the opposite, which is me and somebody else. Okay, you and your husband, you and your wife, whatever. So placements here that would be big for you. Yeah? Yeah. Why? Yeah, so placements in the 7th house would indicate your relationships, your marriages, your boyfriend, girlfriend situation, what you're looking for in a person could be too. If you have, let's say Saturn, we'll use Saturn as a good example. Saturn in the 7th house might be difficulty in relationships, having trouble with relationships, or learning a lot of lessons, a lot of karmic situations happening in your 7th house. What other placement can I talk about in the 7th house? I have Mars in the 7th house, which can be a kind of difficult placement to have. Also, it depends what interacts with the planet, but Mars in the 7th house can make it very, I need a lot of passion in my relationships. I need like action. I need things to be very exciting, and I can be kind of fickle-minded in my partnerships about, how I feel about somebody and going back and forth on that. So I'm blowing myself up right now for y'all. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that you understand what that fucking means. Okay, so say Sun in the 7th house, for example. You will have a strong concentration on commitment and like want to be in a commitment probably all the time. You thrive in a committed relationship. Like that's kind of maybe what you look for is somebody who matches that for you. So that's 7th house. That can indicate when you're getting married too. If you have like transits happening over your 7th house, go back to somebody who got married and look at their chart around their wedding date. It probably aligns there with like Venus transiting over their 7th house, or Even Mars transiting over in the 7th house could indicate somebody getting married. Okay, 8th house. Now, what I say, we get more complicated, okay? It gets really weird. 8th house is one of the weird ones, but I'm going to talk about that at the end too. Just keep this in mind. 8th house is a weird one, okay? House of death and rebirth. Oftentimes, astrologers or will have trouble like narrowing down what this is, like what the 8th house represents all the time, because it's so many things in one. Everyone's going to have a different answer for the 8th house. I try to compile everything that I feel like is most relevant to the 8th house energy, but it's the Scorpio house, so you already fucking know it's complicated. You already know it's like trying to do a lot. It's all deep in its feels. It's all trying to like, it's kind of dark, okay? This can, not gonna lie to you, this can indicate death in somebody's life, or like this could indicate when you die too. When you die, or dealing with death in some way. We're not gonna get into that. I've never looked into that, and I probably never will, because that scares me a little bit. But it also rules birth, okay? Sex in some way, debt, your shared finances with somebody, because this is the opposite house to Taurus, remember, which is I have. So kind of the opposite of I have is I don't have, right? So it's what you don't have, rebirth, right? The shared finances, something else, some assistance here, some help here, okay? And it could indicate spiritual transformation, spiritual growth, spiritual awakening. Also, spiritual abilities can be highlighted here in the 8th house. Hold on, we have a question. Why is that? Why I have? I don't think you have any planets in your 7th house, which is not a bad thing. Okay, you won't have. Most people don't have planets or placements in all their houses. That's okay. The house is what matters, regardless of if you have planets in it or not, because the signs still rule each of the houses. So for you, like I said, I don't think you have any planets in your 7th house, but that doesn't matter. You'll be more affected as the planets transit your 7th house than what's actually in it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so back to this. So there's a Scorpio house, Pluto, which is another planet that, it rules transformation, rebirth. Because I try to end Pluto, and Pluto was like, no, you're not going to end me. Opposite, like I said, would be the 2nd house, Taurus. Oh, I need water. Okay. So like I said, it's a lot. This house can be kind of complicated to look at, but it really kind of depends what planets are in your 8th house, what they're aspecting. If they are aspecting anything, they all will be aspecting in your birth chart. So whatever it's aspecting will be an indication for you. And then also as time comes and things transit and things change, what's affected over or what's transiting over your 8th house will all differentiate what that means and what's going on. Okay, for instance, I have moon in my 8th house. So think about moon energy, emotions. I'm all types of fucked up, okay? My 8th house is like, what? I feel things so deeply and intensely, is why I have such an intuitive ability. That's because of my moon in my 8th house. And the way that interacts with my Pluto, where my Pluto is at, my 12th house, that makes me a witch, I guess. So check out what's in your 8th house. Let me know if you have placements in your 8th house, what's in your 8th house. Take a look at that. We can go deeper on that, but when we get to the end, we'll do that. Okay, moving on to 9th. 9H, house of travel, physical travel, but also mental travel, how you grow your mind, expand your mind, higher knowledge, religion, what your beliefs are, what your religious beliefs are, what your moral beliefs are, also like long distance travel. This is ruled by Sag. So Sag loves to travel. They like to be out. They're the wanderers or the explorers. And Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, that growth and energy, that how are you expanding your mind, right? Opposite would be third house, which is the house of communication that we learned. House of communication, thought, and intellect, right? So that opposite would be what you do with that knowledge. What are you doing? How are you using that voice? How are you speaking out? How are you, is your voice traveling, right? For instance, what do I have in my ninth? I have Jupiter in my ninth house. I'm a dad. I'm always looking to learn more, grow more, expand my mind, especially expand my mind. Okay. And for me, my ninth house aspects my third house. Mind expanded. Okay. See what's in your ninth house. And also, like I said, I'm putting the signs of each. You see Sag on that side. That's what Jupiter looks like. Jupiter is my favorite looking sign because it looks like a 4. I just wanted to say that, I guess. I don't fucking know. Okay, 10. 10H, 10th house. The house of your career, your public image, what you do for a living, okay? What you want to do for a living, your status, okay? You'll notice celebrities will have heavy 10th and second house placements, especially heavy 10th house placements. They could have Jupiter in the 10th house. That's a celebrity placement. You could have Sun in the 10th house. That's a celebrity placement too. That's your profession. That's what, rules your reputation, what your goals are in your career. That's what you do in your outside. That's how you interact with the world. Okay. The sign that rules this is Capricorn, the sign of work, the sign of money, the sign of like I said, have you ever met a broke Capricorn? No, because they always work in 10th house. Saturn rules 10th house, which is the planet of lessons and restrictions. However, it's also the planet of karma. So it can bring you karmic reward if you have Saturn in the 10th house in your career. And then it's opposite 4th house, which is home. So opposite of home would be work, right? Doesn't it all make sense? I love that it just all makes sense. Like it's all like so like aesthetically and like beautifully like makes sense all together. Like you don't really have to think about it that much. You kind of just go back to what the signs are to know what the energies are. And if you were in the tarot lessons that I did, you'll notice that these similarities resonate with the tarot as well. Like Pentacles, that's Earth energy, that's Capricorn energy. 10 of Pentacles represents 10th house, right? Boom. Let's get on to the 11th house, which is the bestest house, which is the Aquarius house. House of friends and your community and your hopes and wishes. Like I said, it gets complicated after the fucking 6th one. So friends, your friend groups, your social groups, also what you want, what you're wishing for, what you're hoping for in your life. Again, going back to the tarot, the star card. Okay, think about the star card in the tarot. That gives me 11th house energy. Okay, that's Aquarius energy, Uranus energy. Opposite would be 5th house, which is Leo. So fun. That was fun by yourself. That was fun with your friends, okay? What you and your friends want to accomplish. What do you want to accomplish, on a grander scheme in your community, it's this group, your group contribution. It's how you contribute as a group to the universe. As you grow and expand yourself, who you interact with also comes into play, right? You're never out here by yourself. You have other people in your life. You have other people you're interacting with. So this is friendships. This is platonic connections. Not necessarily romantic. I guess you can have like a romantic connection come out of like 11th house transit or things like that. But it's really focused on your friends, okay? Platonic connections. Your goals and aspirations for the future, like thinking about the future. That's also 11th house energy. Let me think. What 11th house? Who has Osea, you probably have the most 11th house energy. At least you did when I was reading you last year. Your 11th house was blown up. Okay. And what did we talk about? Your interactions with your friends started to change. Things with your friend group started to change. You started hanging out with your friends more. That interaction was allowed for you throughout, that transit. that was going on. So pay attention to what's in your 11th house. Maybe you're having a conflict with a friend. You could have Saturn transiting over your 11th house, or Mars and Mercury interacting over your 11th house, causing some type of conflict. So it could be that too. Or you could have Jupiter in the 11th house and have like mad fucking friends. That's a popularity placement. 12th house, last house, is the house of, again, this is a weird one too. Secrets, spirituality, self-reflection, sorrow. Some people associate the 12th house with like deep inner reflection. This is the Pisces house. So like, of course, Neptune. So your higher thoughts, your dreams and delusions and illusions and things like that come into play in your 11th house energy. This is your spiritual life, your spiritual being, if you will, your karma, your healing, your psychic abilities. Like I said, I have 8th house aspecting my 12th. That's why I know things that I don't know why. That's your psychic abilities will be highlighted there. If you have heavy 12th house placements, you're probably psychic. If you have 12th and 8th house placements, you're definitely psychic. So take a look at your charts. Self-limiting behaviors. This is things that you do to self-sabotage. Again, this is about yourself, your self-reflection, and things that happen to you on a deep internal level, or spiritual level, I should say. So that's what the house is. That was all 12. But we have more, okay? Because in addition to all the houses individually, together, they're also categorized into different groups, okay? So the houses are categorized into groups of 3 and groups of 4. So the group of 3 here is the angular houses, the succedent houses, and the cadent houses. The angular houses are the 4 angles of the chart that are the most important and the most powerful. Your ascendant, which is on the line by where the A is at, the C is where the descendant is at, the D is where the midheaven is at, and the B is where the nadir is at, okay? You'll see which house is where. First house would be the A, 4th house would be the B, 7th house would be the C, and 10th house would be the D. Feel free to screenshot this and look at this on your own time and like in depth, so you can understand it more, because this is just how the houses are categorized together by what they represent. So for example, the angular house is the most important. There's points in your chart, is your 1st house, which is the house of yourself, your 4th house, which is the house of home, your 7th house, which is the house of your relationships or partnerships and marriages, and your 10th house, which is the house of your career, the most important parts of your life, right? Then the succedent houses, the success houses, what brings you stability in your life, what brings you your purpose. It will be your 2nd house, your money house, your 5th house, your fun house, your creative house, right? Your 8th house, your transformative house, and then your 11th house, which is your support house, your friend's house. There you go. Cadent houses, or the fall away houses, the kind of the ones that just fall onto the background or, you know, off to the side, are the ones that have to do with more depth in your mind, intellect, and ideas and communication. So that's 3rd house. That's 6th house. So your work, the way you work, the way you communicate with your coworkers. You have your 9th house, growth, your mind, your education, and then your 12th house, you know, your deep intellectual thoughts and mind. Okay, then we have our group set into 4, which is kind of similar but not. Okay, we have the houses of self, 1st house, house of money, 5th house, house of fun, 9th house, house of learning, travel. Okay, those are kind of what controls your life or rules your life too. Okay, houses of wealth will be the 2nd house, 6th house, and 10th house. So aspects or planets in those houses indicate, you know, your wealth, what your wealth will be, what's coming for you in your wealth and career and things like that. The houses of relationship would be 3rd house, siblings, communication, things like that. The 7th house, your relationships, your partnerships, and your 11th house, your relationships with your friends. Okay, houses of endings. also known as the weird houses, the mystical houses, the houses that have more depth than just like the other basic things. They have more depth to them, more just more. I feel like they're just deeper. They're just deeper ingrained into your life. That's why they're kind of like the ends, if you will. Okay, regardless. 4th house, house of home. 8th house, house of weirdness. 12th house, house of all the things that have to do with spirituality and yourself. Okay, those are the houses that can indicate ends, but also beginnings. Beginning of your family, ending of, you know, of a life or of something in your life, and then rebirth, transformation, things changing in your life. It doesn't have to do all with endings, mainly just changes too. Like when you have 4th house aspects, it could mean you're moving. If you have 8th house aspects, it could mean that you're changing and evolving your mind. 12th house aspects could mean that you're developing a new spiritual skill or spiritual mindset. So don't think of it so much as like things are coming to an end if I have these aspects or have these placements. That's not what that means. It just means that things are changing. Okay, I have one more slide, and this is categories that I kind of associate birth charts with, and I kind of associate the bottom half of the chart with like early childhood and the top half with your later life in adulthood. I feel like that kind of simplifies it a little bit into like a half situation. So you're like, okay, things that happen up here happen like later, and really probably more in your mind and like mindful things. And then down there is like physical, a lot of physical things happening, but also your earlier life situations. So say you have, I'm trying to think. I often associate 3rd house Saturn, depending on how it's aspecting. 3rd house Saturn can mean you had a difficult upbringing, or you had a difficult time growing up, maybe being understood, difficulty being understood by you know, your family and things like that. So that's kind of where I get that from. Everyone's going to interpret birth charts a little bit differently, or how to read them, and the houses specifically, like what they represent. Everyone's going to have their own interpretation, but this is kind of what I guide myself on when I'm looking at birth charts. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you, but that's all I got. This was a short one. Shit, I fucking flew through that one. Okay, well, it's like off-centered. I'm not happy about that. It was the only one that's off-centered. I didn't move it. Sorry, whatever. Do y'all have any questions? I'm gonna put the comments back on. If y'all have any questions, let me know. I'm glad you guys are here. I love you. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for joining. This seems like a lot. I know it seems like a lot, but it's not. Okay, because it all makes sense once you look at it all together. But now you know what houses are represented by what, and the signs that are associated with them. Those energies will carry through into the charts and into the houses, and kind of make everything kind of resonate a little bit easier for you going into the rest of the lesson. Hey, Indy, welcome. It's not good for everybody, 'cause that's all I got for you. I love you. Thank you for joining the class, and see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about planets tomorrow. We're going to talk about Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, rising, ascendant. We could talk about the descendant if you want to. I'm going to talk about midheaven. We can talk about midheaven a little bit. All that. We're going to talk about all them planets tomorrow. And then Friday, we're going to do like an overview, put everything together, put some charts on the screen so you can see the charts and we can read them together. We can look at what they look like and you can see it all, like all these things come together. The way the houses are, the way the planets are, the way the aspects work, all of that. But now you got a lot figured out already. Like, you guys got it figured out. I feel like you guys have a good understanding now of the basics. The basics of astrology, which is fucking dope. Oh my god, so much info. I know, I'm sorry. I feel like it was a lot in like a little amount of time. So let me know if you want me to go over anything. Can you do me a reading off this app? You can go to the link in my bio and book a reading. I'm not doing readings at this moment. I'll have to put it to the test. Okay, yeah, you'll have to put it to the test. We'll have to, like, Friday when we look at charts, also let me know whose charts you want to look at. Do you want to look at Kanye? Do you want to look at Trump? Who do you want to look at charts? Let's do celebrities, just because I don't want to put anyone's personal information who's, like, you know, we know personally on here. But celebrities, that's public information, so we're entitled to that. But let me know if you have anybody specifically whose chart you want to look at. Actually, the book I have has Oprah's chart in here, actually interpreted in this book, which is wild to me, because out of every celebrity that anybody could have read, this book read Oprah's chart. Who has the same birthday as me? Bitch, what the fuck? So maybe we'll do Oprah. Do we want to do Oprah? Her chart scares me a little, but I think it would be good to see all those wealth placements in action. Maybe somebody who's, I don't really want to look at a dead person's chart, but we could if you wanted to, like Michael Jackson or something. Or let me know, who do you want to know? Do they have Drake's chart? Not in the book, but we can get Drake's chart. My window just shook again. I don't think we're supposed to look at Drake's chart for some reason. Every time we talk about looking at Drake's chart, something starts shaking, something starts going wrong. I don't know. That man's a Scorpio, so I don't know that we need any more information than that. We could just go off his sun sign. I want to know what his rising is, though. I think he's a Leo rising, honestly. Hold on. Should I look? Oh, is it this? Oh, no, it's not this. Hold on. I'm just getting rising and moon. I'll look at his moon sign too. Leo rising, of course he is. He's a Leo rising. He's like nearly a Libra too. Did you know? He's like nearly a Libra. Unless this is wrong, but he's, where's your moon? He's a Cancer moon like me. Oh my god, you guys are a perfect match. I think you guys are a perfect match. Oh, he has Jupiter in the, okay. So perfect example. Okay. I wish I could throw his chart up here for a sec. Okay, so perfect example. Let me make myself bigger. I'm gonna put a filter on first because I look ugly as shit. Okay. Drake, okay? Let's talk about houses for a second. He's got an empty first house, empty second house, full third, fourth, and fifth house. Full up. Almost everything's over there. Then, hey, Katie, we were getting married. Hold on. This is probably why they didn't want me to pull his chart for you, because he's got Jupiter in the seventh house, okay? Seventh house. House of relationships, marriages, partnerships. Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of marriages on this man. He's gonna have a lot of relationships, a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages, a lot of bitches. Okay, he's a Pisces seventh house too. It's Pisces Jupiter. So I feel like he's not. He's not giving me like settle down vibes. He's giving me like, I will just go off forever. I will just be No. Yeah, he's got to... No, we don't... No. Especially for where your planet's at. Where I can't even open your chart for some reason. I mean, he did say he can't be with one person in his most recent song. Maybe he wasn't lying. He's not lying. I'm not surprised. He really cannot be with one person. He's got too much like emotion to be held down. Like, I don't feel like he's the type that wants to be held down. He wants to be somebody who like connects with a lot of people on an emotional level, but not somebody who like settles down with them. He's like, I will love on you, I will like on you, I will probably marry you, I could marry you, but I'm not gonna settle down with you. Where's his Sag? I think Sag is, yeah, he's got a 4th house Sag. He's not settling down. Maybe I can check. Yeah, no. 4th house Sag with Uranus there. He's never going to settle down. I have a feeling he'll never get married. He's got bigger things to do. That's why. He's got music to produce, music to make. He's got Chiron in his 10th house. Of course, he's got, that's like a karmic... we'll talk about Chiron tomorrow, but he's got like, that's like a karmic past life placement to have. So he's like entitled to a very successful life. That broke my heart a little bit. I'm sorry to marry Elon. Ew, we're gonna marry Elon Musk. Let's look at Elon Musk's chart real quick. I've looked at it already, apparently. Okay, his birth time is unknown because he's an alien. So birth time is very important to the location of the signs over the houses, because that determines your rising sign, which determines where everything else lies. So if without the birth time, they'll just put 12 p.m. or 12 noon or whatever, kind of have it how it normally looks, like with Aries as the 1st house. So it looks like he's got just like a regular schmegular looking chart, which we know is not the case. He's a Cancer sun though, and a Virgo moon. I love Virgo moon. I think it's the most productive moon sign you can have, especially if this sir has it in the 6th house. That's where it belongs, Virgo energy. So he's very rational minded. He's very rationally emotional. Rational emotionally. That makes sense. He's also got Mercury in Cancer. I have a hard time believing that this is where his placements lie. But he would have Mercury in Cancer no matter what. Well, yeah, he would. I just don't know what house it's in. I want to know the houses. I want the houses. I'm in love with Elon Musk. I feel, and we'll take this off this live. We'll do another one. But I feel that Virgo placement for you, sun, moon, or rising, would be really good for you. You personally, but that's just that. Okay, I'm going to end this live on that. We'll start a new live. We'll talk more if you want, but I want to end this one so we don't have to keep yapping. We can yap on another live. We could do a little Q&A, okay? I love you. I'll see you in a minute. Thank you for coming to the houses class. Love you. Okay, I'm going to end this now. Bye.